Obrigado, Gustavo. Bom dia a todo mundo. Bem-vindos a mais um dia do prêmio. Que nem o Gustavo comentou, hoje a gente vai ter mais uma série de painéis internacionais, com exceção de um painel nacional, que também vai ser tão bom quanto, tenho certeza absoluta. E os painéis de hoje, a começar com daqui a pouco, diretamente da França, vai ser o painel de número 1, que é sobre o entretenimento musical no Metaverso, que é sobre realidade virtual e o mundo da música. É um tema bem interessante, está cheio de gente muito legal lá para a gente conversar, e vai ser ótimo, tenho certeza. Depois desse vai ser o tema com a nossa parceria exclusiva com o Indie Week do Canadá. A gente vai ter o Derry Hus e os convidados dele exclusivamente conversando com a gente, numa parceria moldada mais por mim e por toda a equipe também do prêmio, claro, com certeza. Depois a gente vai ter o painel da Valéria Becker, que é o nacional que você comentou, que vai ser perfeito também, eu tenho certeza disso. E para fechar a noite dos painéis ao vivo, porque depois ainda vai ter mais coisa, com certeza, vai ter a premiação. Mas para fechar os painéis nacionais, a gente vai ter mais uma parceria exclusiva com a empresa musical de produção musical do Peru, Puente Sonoro, que também é outra parceria exclusiva do prêmio, né, nessa jornada da sexta edição, procurando expandir ainda mais o que já é o Prêmio Profissionais da Música, que é um evento enorme aqui em Brasília e em todo o mundo. A gente tem certeza disso.
Muito bem. Antes de chamarmos aqui os nossos convidados do primeiro painel, agradecer pela noite inesquecível de ontem, parabenizar a todos os finalistas, em especial os escolhidos e todos aqueles que colaboraram para uma noite tranquila, feliz, que homenageou a senhora Odete Ernest Dias e a jornalista Patrícia Palumbo, que inclusive fizeram entradas ao vivo para deixar tudo mais emocionante. Lucas, please invite our guests, yes.
Vamos lá, pessoal. For the first panel of today, the first international panel of the day, we have Isabelle from France. She will be leading the panel. The theme is Musical Entertainment in the Metaverse. It's a wonderful project that her company and all of her production team is working on the past few years. Please, Isabelle, make yourself at home. Feel free to, make this a casual conversation. And please, you can begin the panel.
First of all, thank you for the MusicVRTUO Awards for hosting us all together. I will shortly introduce the people that we have today and let them introduce themselves. So we have Olivier Ouzou from sorry, my mistake. From RISTBAND. No.
Page 11.
Sorry. Stage 11. Oh my God, I'm already starting. I already had too much wine. Sorry. Then we have Clavier from VRTUO, Roman from RISTBAND, and Olivier Dussauze from there we go again from VRTUO and myself from Music XR1. I will let you all introduce yourself shortly, and then we'll get onto it to our conversation. Maybe ladies first. Maud, go ahead.
Okay. So hello everyone. Thank you very much for having us. My name is Maud and I'm the COO of a company called VRTUO. We organize virtual events in a social virtual reality in a platform called VRChat, but sometimes other platform, and we organize festivals, concerts, and many cultural events.
Please, Gildas.
Okay, nice to meet you. So my name is Gildas Dussauze. First of all, I'm very happy to be there, and hearing speaking Brazilian for me, it's just fantastic. I love the way you speak, especially with this karaoke accent. And I founded VRTUO 6 years ago, and now we are producing live and virtual events with theaters and musicians in France and in Italy.
Roman, your mic, yeah.
Hi, I'm Roman from RISTBAND. We've built a platform that enables any concert taking place in the real world to also take place in our metaverse.
Oliver. And I'm sorry for mistaken earlier on.
That's okay. Olivier Ozoud from Stage 11. Our company is, we've created a platform that caters to music performances, both short form and long form.
Okay, and just
in
for
the metaverse,
music,
obviously.
of course, where else? As for music, it's a virtual performance platform, and we're mainly focusing on karaoke at this stage. So started in 2020 with my associate Charlie. But first things first, how do you all see the evolution of the future relationship between fan and artists, especially with what all is going on, the metaverse and so on? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, if I may start, if you want to do the ladies first, I will try to be brief, but talking about a real event I've been organizing. You see next to me, it is the avatar of Jean-Michel Jarre. So I was organizing the New Year's Eve concert, and what it allowed is to have, because in the platform we use, the maximum capacity is 40 people, and when there is more than 40 people, it duplicates over and over. So Jean-Michel was playing live with a motion capture suit, and then some people could virtually see him with avatars. So first of all, it gives a very close point of view to the fans, because in reality, they would be in a super large crowd, and this time they can be very close to the stage and really see the artist movements, even though it's his avatar, but the movements are his own. And they can meet between fans that are really not from the same countries. So it's interesting also to have like Chinese fans, French fans of the same star. Even though it could happen in the bigger scale concerts, the fact of being a smaller crowd facilitates the fact of becoming friends. And it gives the impression to have the star for yourself, because it's a small concert, feels like a private one. You're like, oh, I have Jean-Michel almost for only 20 people, even though it's fake, but it has a certain feeling of being special. So I guess the virtual space can bring this feeling of being closer to the, to bring a closer relationship between the fan and stars.
Oliver?
I can jump in, yes. Actually, so that's something that we've been sort of thinking about a lot. I think the one of the motto we have at Stage 11 is reinventing the music for the metaverse. And the way I think about it is really, this is an opportunity to change the interaction between the fan and the performer, and not necessarily reproduce the feeling of a live concert. Live concerts are very good at what they are. I don't know, sort of, for those of us that are basically sort of on the other side of COVID enough to basically have gone back to a live event, there's so many things that basically there's absolutely impossible to reproduce in the metaverse or in basically sort of virtuality of any kind. So I think what's interesting is exploring the space and give something new and different, and allow, I think the best way to explain it is allow the fans to live inside the music, the sort of visual musical world of the performers. Not necessarily sort of do a concert, but maybe sort of have this interactive music video that you can sort of live inside, modify, participate. And these are all the sort of things that you can do with this technology, as opposed to just say, let's have a performer live and let's create a bunch of people as avatars and we'll have a concert. Because to me, this is like taking a movie camera, putting it inside a theater play and calling this cinema.
Right.
You put a point on the good, you raised a good point, that is the interaction of the audience. I'll let you speak about that, but it's interesting.
Indeed. Gildas?
Yeah, I think I agree with the Maud and Olivier. I think it's a new way to interact remotely, and it's a new way to be closer to the artist. And it's also an opportunity for artists to give to the fan a wider range of view for their artistic territory. With this, you can be really inside the artistic mind of the creator, and this is fantastic for this. And one of the key, from my point of view, one of the key aspects of this experience is not to replace the physical world, the idea is not to how we can recreate a physical concert, because it's not the point. And each time that we go in that direction, we go in the wrong direction. It's a new technology, so it's new opportunity for artists to express themselves. So technology in itself is not the point. It's how with this artists can go far in their territory, and how far they can share it with the fans. So it's, from my point of view, it's more about this story that artists want to tell to their fan.
Roman, your take on it?
My take on it is that I completely agree with you, Gildas. It's about how we can convey things that are great about a concert in the real world, and it's about how we can capture what makes a real concert amazing. None of this should be ever about replacing anything, in the same way that music videos never replaced the concert. It's just a new format and a new tool, and artists are able to express the things that they used to only be able to express with an album, and now they can express on this brand new canvas.
I think indeed that, as you say, Roman, video doesn't kill the radio stars. It's the same over here. It's a new medium. So I think that's important for everyone to know, that it's just a new medium, a new layer, just like we encountered radio back then, television, internet, now it's virtual reality, the metaverse, and so on. And it's just another way of living an experience, and just putting the fan back where he belongs, as I maybe can summarize, at the center stage, and where the star, the artist and the fan can be united again, and not like the fan somewhere in the public or somewhere, and the artist on stage, but you can really have a great interaction. I don't know if you guys heard or maybe seen the concert of Elf, which was a couple of months ago, and in fact, you could, from your cell phone, just by paying an extra, got away from Alice, the Canadian DJ. So you could really have an interaction and feel even more special. Although you were in the public, you were also like broadcasted on a separate screen, and then the DJ was waving at you or saying hi, and so on. So don't know if you guys saw this, and if you would see this as a new future, or otherwise.
I think you're targeting something very true, that is interactivity, the way we interact. So first I spoke about a format that was more classical, like a star on stage and the audience behind the stage, but we are also building other worlds that are like interactive mini games for a video clip. So the fans can interact more and more, and I think the younger generation are totally bored when they're not interacting. So there are several ways of interacting. Of course, you can have the text message and so on, but to me it's sort of obvious interactivity that is not too much artistic. I feel like it's too much because we're already overloaded by text message, Instagram, and so on in real life. So I guess there is something to invent here to have interactivity. For example, we had a small idea of you can take a 3D object and put it on stage like a heart or anything, or emojis, or it can be whatever the star wants to do, or the artist. It can be different depending on the artist. But I think it's a crucial point, like to allow the audience to be interactive, but not too much overcrowded.
Other takes on that, or okay?
Yeah, I can jump in. That sort of.
Yeah.
The interactivity is key, and I think the other thing, and Maud sort of hinted at it a little bit. There's also the intimacy that we can recreate using a virtual medium that is not physically or financially possible if you talk about sort of the physical world, right? The reason a big artist, let's just sort of pick one at random, sort of say Taylor Swift, for example, the reason Taylor Swift doesn't perform in tiny bars is not because she doesn't want to. she would love to perform in Tiny Bar. It's just because it's physically impossible for her to reach enough of her audience doing that. However, virtually, she could do that. You could basically think, if we say sort of mixed reality example is a great one. Let's say we have a sort of a performance of Taylor Swift. I can basically push from my phone so that she's sitting right here in my living room, and me and a couple of friends are enjoying that performance. There's an intimacy that we can recreate that you cannot have normally unless you're super rich and you can afford to sort of have Taylor Swift come to your birthday party, for example. So I think there's two sides. There's one, this recreation of this enormous communal event where many fans are all sharing the same experience, as well as recreating these small intimate moments between the performer and the fans.
Oh. Well,
just
yeah,
regarding
please.
this, just for I think that it's a new grammar that we have to explore and to learn with this new format, and it's depending on the device and it's depending on the way we can communicate. If we see with history, with the history of the stage, the contact between the audience and the artists, it has been conceived with the constraints of the stage and the audience. So it's okay, you do, you're moving your hand, you are shouting, and okay. But with virtual reality, as Olivier and Maud said, you can imagine some closer contact. So you can imagine also some interactivity that cannot be explored with the real world and the real stage. And this will be depending on the device of the user. So nowadays it's with VR headset and with the smartphone. But if we look in the future, it will be with the glasses. And we can imagine that we will be mixing all the time realities between real and unreal, and that a 3D object will be all around us. So with this, your star could be also with your daily life, you know, just beside of you. And this closer contact and interaction with star can also, after that, be on stage on virtual stage with a live session. But this is a completely new media and completely new way, and with a new grammar to explore. So I don't think that we have to look at what has been done with the physical once again, but just to be creative. And for this, artists are really good for this creativity. It's the territory of artists. And I really believe that this technology will be popular thanks to artists.
Yeah, totally. When talking about the metaverse, we start to understand a little bit what it is, but what does it change for the music industry as such? Roman.
I think that what it really changes is the fact that when we think of what the music industry is, I think it's important to separate music and the music industry, because music has always existed, and technology arrived that meant that we could capture music and we could record music and we could use synthesizers and we could share it on the internet. And the relationship between the history of music and the history of technology is a kind of a love affair that has kind of have happened and existed for years. And we're now entering a new phase of that. And whereas 150 years ago, where the way that it was managed and controlled and measured was by whether you had a hit and whether you could record a song and whether you had the license, I think we're about to witness music blossoming into something else and growing into something that perhaps we wouldn't be able to imagine, but is something that is more down to experiences. And games and immersive environments are really built for those sort of experiences. So I think that the idea of a metaverse and music metaverse, in a strange way, the further we push the technology into the future, the more we get back to the basic premise of what music is, which is we return to this idea of being in a place with people. We return to the idea of a moment in time that is shared with people who play music and people who hear music. we have, I think, there were some great points mentioned earlier about the idea of interactivity and these new approaches and new methods that people have with both in making music but also in consuming music. There are all these interesting new exciting habits that form, and the idea of a music metaverse is one where the art of music and the creation of music and the expression of it gets to be the sort of light that guides where this all goes, because we won't know until for 20 years we won't know which will be the David Bowie or the Rihanna's or the Michael Jacksons or the Wu-Tang Clans of music that uses all these new technologies and all these new things. But I think we're definitely approaching a convergence where experiences, game development, and songwriting are all going to fuse together to create something that we will not really be able to predict.
Yeah, totally. But I'm glad to hear that. I think we can all say that it's nice that music remains universal and it keeps on gathering people. And I think that that's what it's all about in music, uniting people and gathering. And
I think music always wins because people always want music. And what we've seen is that thanks to technology, musicians could write songs, artists could get paid by royalties, tours could happen. All of this was great for the art itself because it meant more people heard music, and the mechanics of the music industry were put in place, and radio and internet and music television and all these components are very crucial. But really, it's just a very simple interaction. It is the interaction between someone who writes a song and the interaction between someone who enjoys that song. And so what we're seeing now and what we're heading towards more towards a Web 3.0 or an interactive experience of that is those two people are getting closer and closer together.
Yeah. What are you guys and girls take away on that?
An idea is that it gives also a new way of monetization for the artist, because we all know like the music industry is facing a certain crisis, and the concerts are the main way to earn money because the albums and everything, the music are like almost free. And what I noticed from my Jean-Michel Jarre concert is that once we mock up him and shot him one time, we can replay him as much as we want. So I guess normally in the music industry, you can monetize replays, but it's not so easy. Like people, they share the videos, it goes out very fast. And if you monetize with ticketing, the fact of replaying a show over and over, and the artist is already working on something else and can go faster in his creativity, and he can even play multiple shows in one night because he can be anywhere and anyhow. It changes a lot, and it gives some new opportunity to monetize and be creative, and and to be eternal also,
like ABBA.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, or be resurrected. That's the other part. Actually, that's an interesting point as both Bada and Roman makes. I think what we're seeing is more than just the metaverse. There's the intersection of three major sort of currents that are happening at the same time. One is this basically metaverse, which is the ubiquity of computing devices being able to sort of create 3D worlds that almost anyone can sort of consume. The second one, and Roman was hinting about it, is basically decentralization and the blockchain economy. The third one is the creator economy, which is really changing the relationship between creators and fans. And this is across all platforms. Like we see basically more direct connections between the creators and the fans, and more disintermediation, where you do not have to be signed to a major studio to actually make a living out of your music. You're no longer restricted by sort of like the physicality of, oh, I can only play in the 3 bars that are in my little village. So there's things like that. So those are changing rapidly. And blockchain is something that's really interesting because the smart contracts allow the complexities of music royalties, which are one of the more sort of convoluted sort of part of the music itself, to actually be automated and be sort of fluidly passed from creator to creator and to fans. So nobody basically everybody can participate in that revenue stream. And if I can sort of co-create, and I think what's really interesting with the interactivity also is allowing the fans to co-create with the artists and doing it while still basically having revenues that go back to the artist. So basically removing these problems that we had maybe 20 years ago when sampling started, everybody was like, oh my God, it was great for creators. They go, I can do these collage of things and then create new from what was old. But the issue with that, it was very difficult for people that had contributed to that to get revenues from it. So I think there's these three things colliding together is making this sort of explosion, which I think we're calling overall the metaverse. I think that's where the sort of, and music is at the center of it, because music, I think it has that sort of energy that needs, it's been trapped for a little while. It hasn't really done very well since sort of the MP3 kind of destroyed the sort of revenue business.
From my point of view, so I forgot to tell all of you that I used to be in the music industry for 15 years before I start VRTUO, so I know very well this business. And but business is one thing, technology is one thing, music and the music business, it has always been a way to monetize community. I think that each time before the record, musician find a way to make money by selling papers with their composition and papers. Then after that it was with vinyl, and after that it was with CD. Now it's with a playlist and with streaming. So, but out of this, it's about monetizing community. So for an artist to make a living of his art, it's to have a big community, and it's very important. And Metaverse, it's just another way to monetize community. It's just another way to make concerts, not only in bars and in big stadium, but also in a fun night or in any type of virtual stage. So it's a new opportunity, and just we have to forget about technology and just to be focused on what's the real purpose of this link between a fan and an artist. It's because they are truly believing that they are belonging to a community. And each time that this technology will erase between in front of this belief, it's a good point, and it can be a business. Otherwise, it will be something that it will only concern a few population of the community.
When we talk about monetization, of course, we also talk about copyrights and the rights to the author rights and so on of all of the contributors to the music. As we see today, and especially in Europe, it's not standardized. In the States, you have copyright. In Europe, every country has its own legislation. But on the other hand, you have the Metaverse, who doesn't have borders as such, at least not for now. Could we consider conceiving a copyright dedicated to the Metaverse, or even an international one?
Well, for this, I think that's what Olivier told about NFTs and about blockchain. Yeah. It's regarding the technology in itself. It's the good technology to now handle with this royalty, because with the blockchain you can register definitely, and you can manage with smart contract all about these royalty issues. So this is something really important, because now you don't have the obligation to make a deal with big companies like SACEM in France or like this, because with the blockchain you can handle with your own ownership. So this is really important, and for this, artists has to be aware about how to handle with this technology, because it's something that with this they will access to freedom from these big companies.
Totally. But then, of course, what's the role for the labels in it, because they might feel like, yeah, they will change also.
No. At the end of the day, if you are in the chain of value, if you put money at first that help the artist to produce, then it's normal to have some money on this, But if you only evaluated it's to manage something that other one created or that's other one invested in, then these guys have some issues in front of them, of course. But the people that put money, that produced, and people that are creating, it's not a problem.
Totally. I'm just playing devil's advocate, of course.
I think an important part of the evolution of this is for us to help create an infrastructure where someone who is a label or a manager or a booking agent or a radio plugger, those are titles that are given within a structure, but the actual skills of that person, the radio plugger knows how to choose a song, the manager understands the artist's catalog, the artist knows how to write something that is relevant for that particular moment. All of these will still be just as relevant whether you're playing in reality or you're playing in the metaverse. And the platforms that are evolving now, I think the ones that show the most promise are the ones which are a simulation or an approximation of all these things that happen in the real world, so that we can have two worlds working together. Because I don't think it's going to be something that you can just assume is a different planet. And I think that last time technology really shifted the entire currents of what music is was in the streaming revolutions that we alluded to before. And this was really more about the incumbent powers being asleep at the wheel, if you like. There was no reason why Sony or Universal or Warner couldn't have put a team together to build what would have become Spotify. But then, so why didn't they? Why was it a technology company that managed to do this? And I think that the issue, and I guess as much as this is all this conversation so far, we've been talking all about the exciting things that can happen and the opportunities. There's also there should in some ways be a word of warning in that last time there was a huge transitional shift. Not only were the artists not considered in the way that perhaps they should have done, but the labels and the music industry professionals themselves were left out of the equation. And a lot of people would argue that the system now with the classic label structure with a digital streaming culture built on top is a kind of a structure that isn't as sound as if we'd have been able to speak with artists, with music industry professionals, and build something that would have been equitable for everyone. And I think I don't think I'm alone in saying that we're all very excited to see this as an opportunity for a new rule book to be built out, a new structure to come through.
Yeah, indeed. Oliver?
Yeah, I mean, there's always two forces at play, I think, in that sort of scenario. There's basically the sort of the monopolization and concentration of power and tool, as well as basically the decentralization one. And every time we've seen that when new technology comes out, new technology tends to be forces that favor decentralization, favor the easier access to X, right? I mean, for example, the music production business has completely been decentralized and real estate. It used to be that you really had to have access to a complex and expensive studio to be able to record. And there was a music industry that was built around having basically the studio system similar to the movie studio system that we kind of still have, where you had to be in order to be able to do anything. And now pretty much anyone with a laptop, actually sort of an iPad is enough to make music that sounds indistinguishable from music that's been recorded in a studio. So that basically created this explosion. The reason sort of Spotify and streaming is so big is obviously there's all the labels and all the big stars, but every person that can create a new song, can post it on Spotify, and can post it on all these other sort of medium. They may not get the plays unless it's just like sort of YouTube and other sort of platforms. It's like, but they can become very big very quickly. If their music is good, they can explode very quickly. So there's these forces at play. So I think it changes the dynamic between the studio system and the thing. And I think the metaverse will do the same thing to the visual performance aspect of music. I think we're going to see music performances and the visual aspect of music video or interactive music video, or whatever, or concerts, we want to call them that, be changed by this sort of access to new technology that sort of very rapidly is going to allow pretty much anyone to say, hey, I'm going to create what Maud has done with Jean-Michel Jarre. It should be directly the artist being say, yep, I can do my thing, and I created my other thing, and I post it, and boom. And maybe there's a platform that sort of supports and helps that, and obviously we'd like to be one of those platforms, and I'm sure you guys as well. But I think the idea is to empower the creators more directly.
What?
Well, I'm going to jump on that instead of the copyright, really, but myself, I try to be very inclusive with the type of artist I'm working with. So, okay, Jean-Michel Jarre is the big star, but as in parallel, in VRTUO, we build virtual venues for festivals. For example, I've been in touch with a South African studio that produces South African stars that are rarely listened abroad. And I try to bring this little South African music showcase in other festivals we will be working for as little shows for opening parties, closing parties. And I really believe that in the what we will call the metaverse, but I more call it a social virtual reality today, anyone posting anything does exist, but it doesn't mean the audience will come. It's very hard because it's very lost in the, if you go in VR chat, you have so many worlds, you don't know where to go. So I really believe in curation, and production companies such as mine, but many others will create events with a special curation, special artists showcased, and maybe those artists will be seen on platforms such as Patreon, that is already helping a lot lesser known artists to be directly financed by anyone. But I think it's hard, we should be very careful about not reproducing like big stars and other being shut. And I think music, as a platform, you also want to help that, to have a lesser known artists, make them be able to go on stage very easily and perform in front of a broader audience. So I think it's very fair combat somehow.
Yeah, indeed, it's a bit like, it's kind of making virtual reality mainstream, if we can say it like that, so available for everybody. But then, of course, the question is how to differentiate within those this world. It's being able to differentiate yourself, getting noticed. In that way, indeed, it will be important to have some curations and some people helping getting discovered. So personally, I believe there remains a role and a place for everybody. Don't know how you guys see it. Is there a place for everybody? Because as we see it now, of course, like Meta, Facebook, as it was called before, Apple, Epic Games with Fortnite and so on. They're quite big players. They all want to create a big part of the metaverse. Do you think that they will have such an impact that the little players or the smaller players will be erased, or do you think there will stay place for everybody?
I think the definition in the kind of classical term, if you go back to to the idea of a metaverse, so for Neil Stephenson's book Snow Crash, the whole point of it is that it's interoperable, and the whole point of it is that everyone has a voice. And this kind of it's a sort of an early 90s Silicon Valley tech utopia perspective of what technology was supposed to do, which was supposed to, it was supposed to be decentralized. Everyone was supposed to be free. And on the flip side of that, and I think this is something that we've kind of touched on a few times in this conversation, is that doesn't necessarily mean that it's in the interest of artists that EMI and Warner and Universal all shut down and there's nothing and it's a free-for-all, because you have the most talented people in the world at spotting a great artist, at knowing which producer will work with. They all will have gravitated and worked towards developing artists there. So I think in the interest of making in the ethos of a true metaverse, or a true open metaverse, then it will have to include both the smallest venues and the smallest artists, but also the professionals and the industries who have the experience and have been able to shape culture as they have done so far.
Gildas?
Well, I think it's about investment. This can be done. This can be achieved. This market can be really available for any type of user if there is there are first massive investments, and those investments now are on the roadmap of Facebook and Apple, and I think that's great, because that means that there will be other players that will want to be competitors from Apple and Facebook, and it means that even for public institutions, they understand that now it's time to invest. So I think it's good, and I think at the end of the day, there won't be only one player in the market. If the market is big, it's as usual. It will be a matter of a multiplayer. And it's really massive, then there will be also places for small players. So thank you, Mark, and for now saying to everybody that he believes in the metaverse and that he invests billions of dollars, because thanks to him there is a market that is beginning to grow. And but we don't have to be afraid about this dystopia that is now seen by some of the competitors of Facebook, like Jack Dorsey. I think it's bullshit.
Well, I quite agree. I agree a bit with Gilda that we should stay optimistic, because when you see the images of Facebook Horizon, it doesn't give me the will to go there, because it looks like the avatars are really simple. They don't have legs or anything. The offices, they look like aseptized. And for being working with some artists, they hate the standards. They always want to break it. So when they have a platform, they want to break the mold and say, okay, this platform is this, I want to make it that. And they are breaking the rules all the time. They will want to be more creative. And I also believe in multi-streaming platforms for virtual reality as a solution. Like an artist that is not so famous can make an audience on TikTok being filmed in virtual reality with cameras, and we can have a 360 format, 2D format, audio format. We have many formats collaborating. And of course, the smaller stars, they need to make more marketing, communication. But if they jump into space early enough, that they can be known. It happened with the internet streaming, like the first one who jumped into a new technology. They were like, oh, we don't know that guy, but like I didn't know Travis Scott. Now everyone knows Travis Scott because he was on Fortnite and he made million views. He was known before, but me personally, I didn't know him. So I think this could happen to smaller stars.
Olivier?
Yeah, I think this is interesting. The whole sort of question about, will there be one metaverse? Will there be many metaverses? I think it's more likely that the second is right. If we look at the definition, the true definition, if you sort of go back to the course, what is the metaverse? The metaverse is the ability to have shared human experiences using a 3D construct. That's sort of one part. The second part is being able to craft a digital persona. And if you use these definitions, the metaverse has already been here. It's been here for 10 years. If you ask a 16-year-old, they get together with their friend in the morning with Discord, then they jump on Fortnite and play together, then they go on Roblox, then they go on Minecraft. They've been in the metaverse all day long. What we're talking about, and what the sort of the novels, No Crash, things like that, seems to be strangely sort of fascinated with this idea that the doors between these worlds is what's important. The doors are not important. I mean, just like on the internet, we're going, oh, like the vision of the internet, I don't know if you remember, it's like we're talking about, oh, you're going to do this, like, well, guess what? The internet is you click on the thing on the browser and you go somewhere else. And this is what we do now. You can click somewhere, you go into Fortnite. You click somewhere else, you go into Roblox. You click and you get into sort of mods environment or VR room or things like that. So I feel that basically in terms of what we're giving the user, specifically the sort of going back to the music fans and the performer, the metaverse is already there. There are venues, there are going to be more venues. Some of them are going to be larger than others. I mean, it's hard to see a future where Meta is going to fail at sort of, having a significant portion of the metaverse, but I don't think that matters as much as the fact that basically there's going to be visibility for the entire ecosystem, and smaller players are going to be able to that. And I think there's also going to be, like Roman's saying, some openness and interaction, especially in, I think that's going to be coming from the Web 3.0 and the decentralized world, because that one is built from the get-go to function that way.
Very interesting, the conversation we're having. Unfortunately, we're almost running out of time. So if you could all give me like shortly your take on how will we experience music tomorrow, in 5 years, in 10 years, what would you say? Let's get back to ladies first, Maud.
Well, I would say that some of the stars would have artificial intelligence inserted inside their avatar. So we'll be able to hang in the street hand in hand with Jean-Michel and have a private talk with him and be very, very happy about that.
My thoughts are, and actually this is from a studio in London where we're creating a concert that we're going to take to France next week, where we are doing a physical concert and there will be a digital twin of that concert happening. The thing that I've been noticing is just the value of developers and the fact that they are so crucial to this next wave, that your Lennon and McCartney's or your kind of collaboration will be the people who are someone from the coding, gaming, game dev, user experience area, and someone from the music aspect. Because in a world where we have to have incredible experiences and the music needs to be great, you need to have someone who's really great at making games and really great at making experiences, and you need someone who has incredible songs and something to say. And so I predict that the Bowies or the real winners of this will be the people who can fuse these together and have a new type of paradigm shift in terms of how they interact with each other and how the medium itself evolves.
Gildas, Olivier?
Well, I think that the trend will be for massive events, very short and massive events, and with a combination of video game and what you can see now with the show, like when you doing the advertising for the Super Bowl, you can see an amazing show from the weekend for 20 minutes. This is, I think, the trend. So this amazing show for a short period of time with massive audience. Live.
Yeah. Olivier?
Crystal balls are always interesting. I think, well, Roman was saying that just earlier, and that's right. I was doing some research at some point. It's like the very first musical instrument that we've been able to find is 60,000 years old. And since then, humans have been able to jump on every single advancement in technology throughout the years and turn it into something relevant to make music. So I don't think it matters what sort of comes in sort of next years in terms of new technology. I mean, we're talking about AI. AI has already been co-opted to make music. The metaverse is being co-opted to make music. Whatever comes next is going to be, because it's etched into our DNA. Like the human race is about music. I think humans or proto-humans were singing before they could talk. So I think the future is just going to be amazing for music, because I don't think there's any way it can't.
Indeed, I think as well the future is virtual. That's for me for sure, and I think with technical evolution, we can always also reach a public that we weren't able to reach up front, such as youngsters that are not allowed to go to concerts before 16 years old and so on, or elderly people, or people that are disabled and not always capable of following a concert. So they will be also able to live a concert as if they were there, have the interaction, and so on. So I think it's very promising, and it's quite exciting to live in these times and be part of all these this turnaround in technology and music. But it's also reassuring that in the end, music remains universal and it keeps bringing people together. That's indeed what it's all about. So I would like to thank you all for being here with us. Also, the Music Pro Awards for having us. And I don't know if we still have a few minutes, but I would like to give each of you the opportunity to give a short quote of, a little publicity of your own platform, so that people, the public, can find out what your platform is all about and what your technology is all about. So please go ahead. You have 1 minute each. Moot?
Hi, Isabel.
Sorry. Yes, tell us, Lucas.
Yeah, hi, we're back. Sorry to cut you guys. Just to thank you all for being here. Thank you for participating. It was an awesome panel with lots of interesting things. I've loved to watch you guys talk, and it was a very great first panel of the day to start the day, because the next panel will be they're rehearsed by Indie Week. So yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. I just want to say a few words. You guys can still say a couple of things if you want to, but just want to thank you all for being here. It's an honor to have you guys. Hope you had fun as well, and hope you all were able to find something new or to share ideas, or because that's the main goal of the panel. So yeah, if you guys want to say something else, feel free to say it. Then I'll close the panel.
Okay, so
each has 30 seconds. Go.
Yeah.
30 seconds. I will just give my website then. Sorry? Someone spoke?
No, I was just to say it's the most exciting time that we could be producing music, or whether you're an artist or a venue owner. And I think that this is a time where all the technologies and the people involved in them are all changing. So we are writing a new rule book.
Oliver?
What can I add? I think it's very excited. Like Vlada was saying, yeah, if you need to know more about Stage 11, we're stage11.com with ones, and our tagline is "Every world's a stage," and we're going to try to sort of make that happen.
My website is sorry, I had a latency.
Go for it.
Go Gildas.
Sorry. Well, listen, I was very pleased also to have this discussion with all of you, and to have the opportunity to share it with Music Pro Festival. And from our actuality, next year we will provide a live event in VR with the Théâtre du Châtelet and Ballet National de Marseille. And it will be a 60-minute show, so it's very challenging. But normally it should take place in September next year. So I will invite you, and I hope that you will enjoy it.
Moot, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much for this discussion. It was great. And to give you my website, it's vroom.studio, and vroom is written with 2 R's and 2 O's. So vroom.studio, and you can discover our work. Thank you.
Okay. And thank you all for music. It's music.io if you want to hang out and have a nice karaoke evening or chilling out, have fun. And for now, thank you all. And thank you also for being here with us, and looking forward to hearing more about all of you.
Sure, it was a pleasure as well.
Lucas,
Thank you
back
guys
to
again. It was an honor, as I said, it was a pleasure. We had a great time here. Stay tuned for the rest of the international panels if you guys want to. It would be great. And now I'll give over the word to Leticia so she can give the rest of our schedule in Portuguese. But again, thank you guys for being here. It was an honor. It was great. And see you all next year, maybe. Leticia?